I joined the Marine Corps in 1999 in the reserves, and back then I had a lot more faith in our democracy, I suppose, as a naive 17-year-old. And I was against the war before the war. I was going to college, and I went to the one day of student walkouts in February 2003. And then after the war, it turns out my reserve unit wasn't being called, but I really fell for everything after the war, in that what we were doing was cleaning up our mess and responsible foreign policy and trying to do good by the Iraqi people. And so I volunteered to go with the civil affairs unit. I was in a reserve artillery battery that wasn't being deployed, and I heard that the Marine Corps was looking for volunteers, so I volunteered. And what I heard on TV was that, what Bush was saying, that what we were doing was working with the Iraqi people to rebuild Iraq. And it was like, that's exactly what I thought we were going to be doing in civil affairs. Based on my 2-week crash course in civil affairs training, we were going to be working with the Iraqi people. We were going to be working with schools, mosques, clinics, water projects, all that stuff. And that's what we did. And we did do a lot of good by the Iraqi people while we were there, except that we were 6-man teams attached to battalions or regiments. And you couldn't go anywhere in the Fallujah area, at least, without a convoy of 6 Humvees with machine guns, let alone a mere 6 Marines. So we had to beg these infantry commanders to get out and tag along in their convoys to get our missions done. I thought we were going to be the tip of the spear. I thought we were going to be the priority. I thought what we were doing was really what the mission was all about. And I found out that that was bullshit. That wasn't that rhetoric wasn't being justified by the way the mission was structured. We had to justify our existence. In fact, we came up with a slogan to sell ourselves to these infantry commanders, and it was, "We care so that you don't have to." And it's funny to think about it now, and it was a big joke for us, but in retrospect, it's pretty fucked up. We care so that they can keep killing people, and they don't have to care about the Iraqi people.
I got on-the-job training, I guess, is what we used to joke about it. Because 3 weeks after I got out of airborne school and stuff, I was in Iraq, and we were there for a 4-month mission for the elections in the fall and into the winter of 2005. And the city had basically been emptied out before we had gone in, and the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment, I think, was the unit that was there, and they had basically fought anybody who had stayed in the city and torn the city up. And then we came in, and as the people trickled back into the city, we went and did damage reports on their houses, and did patrols and that kind of stuff. Sitting on rooftops at night, waiting for people to plant IEDs, and kicking in doors, blowing in doors with C4 charges that we would make, and blow them in and do raids and try to find people. And it's kind of makes me want to vomit about how we were making those people feel. Kicking someone, imagine someone coming in and blowing your door in, a bunch of guys, and all you can see is a gun barrel and a flashlight in your face, and you don't know who the fuck it is, and you don't know if you're about to die, and the guy's shielding his kid, and he doesn't know if it's a death squad or we were going to shoot him in the face. And then I told him, I was like, I'm Iraqi, we're Americans, and he kind of calmed down a little bit, but we're still treated it pretty bad, stealing stuff from them and taking generators and gas and stuff out of these abandoned houses, and whatever we appropriating it.
There were 2 things that the American forces we've been very, very good at in Iraq, and that is pissing people off and making targets of ourselves.
Yeah.
We carried a pistol and an M16, and when I got back, part of the combat stress I was dealing with was getting over not having that.
Yeah.
Because we'd all heard the story of the Army Civil Affairs captain. Did you hear about this in Baghdad, who got shot with his own pistol in a crowd?
What?
A kid came up to him from behind, pulled his pistol out of his drop holster, and shot him in the face with it, and just dropped it and ran off because it's on a tether, So for us, we're dealing with the Iraqi people all the time in crowds and stuff. Our protocol was, you don't let anyone behind you. You shake hands, you do what you got to do, but your hand goes right back on the butt of your pistol. And it becomes just sort of a natural thing, like sticking your thumb in your belt loop. But it's a lot more than that, because it's a matter of security and personal security, and you get really dependent on that. And it's one thing in training, but when you're actually in a life or death situation, the whole time you're there, your mind depends on knowing exactly where your rifle is, where your pistol is, the exact status of them. You got a magazine, you got, is it loaded? How many rounds do you have left? Is it dirty? Does it need to be cleaned? Does it need CLP? Whatever. That's all it's like breathing. And then you come home, and someone bumped into me in a crowd, and I reached for my pistol, and I was just like, had this moment of panic, you know. But you come home and you have to stop breathing, and it's like you have to take a part of, you know, rearrange your brain, and it's easy to get into it when you're going into Iraq, but to get off the bus and then go to the armory and turn your weapons in, and you know, you feel naked.
I felt that, like, going home, like visiting people and just being around other people, and like I didn't feel right. You know, I was already pretty jumpy, and you know, when stuff would, you know, I'd be like, I want that. You know, this is your life right here, man. That's all you got.
You're conditioned to react to certain alarms and stressful situations with certain reflexes.
And I remember when we got back, and then we, you know, took some time, you know, doing other stuff. We got a little bit of time off, and then when we finally got back and got our weapons again to go out to the range when we were back from Iraq, and when picking up my weapon, and I was just, damn, that feels good. You know, I was just like, shit, I miss this.
But now, in retrospect, I mean,
yeah, it's fucked up.
You're like,
or like coming home and like wanting to go back immediately, saying like, fuck this shit, man. I don't want to, like, this is not what I joined the Army to do, you know.
The meeting yesterday was just really, really powerful to get, you know, so many of our members that are really passionate all together in one room and working together and doing things by consensus, not just by vote, you know, really, you know, deciding what's best for the organization, and it's just, it's been really powerful.
I have ideas about building camaraderie and community within our group, and finding out ways that we can, you know, be more of a veteran support group, I think, because we really need to support each other and support other vets in a lot of ways, and GI resistors, but we need to do more. We need to do things that are going to turn people's heads for real.
I'm glad that there are people in the organization like him that think about taking care of the vets, because my mentality is, what can we do as veterans with our voice and our experience and leverage that power outside of our organization, and how can we be effective in the broader community and inspire people to do things like National Truth and Recruiting Day, which is my big project right now, the goal of which is to get as many civilians as possible to carry the message that we would want to share as recent veterans about the truth of military experience to people who are considering joining the military, and the truth about our experience in Iraq.